guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over this great comeback story that was sent from a subscriber. That's from a guy. He is 39 years old. He's been married for a long time now. I guess about let me think here, close to 20 years. He got married ridiculously young. And he shares his story, how both my channel and a good friend of him, who's definitely the classic alpha male, helped turn around his marriage. In fact, actually saved his marriage. And not only that, but helped him really get himself into great shape, great health, and all that. But you're going to see, prior to making friends with this guy and finding about my channel and my work, this guy was your classic blue pill, nice guy, simp type. In every way, shape, or form. When he was a young guy to all the way up until now. And as a result of that, his marriage, it wasn't so great. And also, he gained a ton of weight, very overweight and all that. But since he found my work and everything, turned things around. And that'll be a very good one to cover here because it goes to show you, as you'll see in the story, how it's so important who you hang out with. He became friends with this guy at a party, and by just pure random coincidence, if you will, if you believe in coincidences, but some people don't. And this guy, by observing the relationship with he and his wife and see how his wife adores him, but he's a take charge type of guy and also into fitness and health, he helped motivate him to get into shape. They started working out together and seeing how he is with his wife, learned things from him, got out my channel from him, and it completely turned around his life. So it's so important who you hang out with. If you are lacking in something in life, it's good to spend time with people that have knowledge that you don't have, and that will rub off on you in a good way. On the other hand, you hang out with people that have negative qualities that'll rub off on you in a negative way. And of course, you're going to see this story how, once again, perfect example, how women are completely repelled and turned off by men acting weak. Weak-ass men turn women off, while guys that show strength, that are take charge, dominant, but not in a mean way. Well, some like it in a mean way. Guys they can trust, guys that lead, guys that go for what they want. They love those guys, but the guys that are indecisive and timid and weak and don't check them on their BS, and even the best of girls can be a-holes on a bad day. We all know it, and you got to check them. So a lot of important lessons in this story. This story is really for the relationship guys, the guys that want to have relationships or are in relationships and would like to know how they can better themselves and all that. So it says here, hey SSM, I don't know if this story is good enough to get on your channel since it isn't about divorce or revenge. I'm one of those relationship guys that you talk about. I'm 39 years old and I'm watching you for about a year now, and I wanted to share my story of how your channel and my friend saved my marriage. You and him helped purple pill me and helped me change from a blue pill nice guy. And guys, you are going to see, let me tell you, this guy does all the things, or did all the things I tell you not to do. But he was younger, he didn't know any better, and you'll see. So a little background about how my wife and I met. So back in high school, I was a typical nice guy. I was trying to go out with girls, but was always friend zone. I bought them flowers, necklaces, jewelry, etc. But it never led to anything. Shocker. He says, I know, smack. Yeah, smack. Buying their affection doesn't work. So by my freshman year of college, I was still a virgin. Again, shocker. My mother was worried that I wasn't going out with women, so she had a friend's daughter, I'll call her Maria, that lived in Peru. I live in America, and she wanted me to talk to. Guys, I'm going to stop right there, and as if it isn't obvious, never ever let your mother get involved in your romantic life. Don't ever let her fix you up with other girls. Take advice from, don't even do it, at least a disaster. I live in America and she wanted me to talk to her. At the time, I thought she just wanted me to be nice to her and help her learn English since she was 5 years older than me. I had nothing else going on at 19 years old since I still lived at home and agreed to help her, but my mom was really trying to set us up. Of course she was. That's what some of these mothers do. I'm hoping, if your life went on a different path, I like to think that maybe you would have gotten it together without your mother fixing up with women, but okay. This was about 20 years ago. So we talked on MSN Messenger. Yeah, we're going back in time, all right. For weeks, and I thought nothing of it. I thought she was just nice. However, when she bought a webcam, everything changed. The first time I saw her on the computer screen, I fell in love with her. Smack. Dude, it's one piece of ass. But then again, I guess since no girls ever paid attention to him, and he was a virgin, any girl that remotely was nice to him, he immediately just had to fall in love with. I wanted to be with her. After months of talking, I paid for a ticket to visit Peru, and on my visit, I asked her to marry me, and she said yes. Smack, smack, smack. 20 years old, you just talked to her on the computer, and probably looking for a fucking visa to come here out of Peru. I'm sure there's nice things in Peru, but let's be honest, people want to come to US of A. Dude. And your mother, I'm sure, was doing cartwheels. A year later, she came over on a fiancé visa, and within 3 months, we were married. Smack. Good. I don't even know where to begin here, how crazy all this was. You barely knew her. 3 months after her being here, you got married. What's the rush? But this is a problem with nice guys that didn't get much attention from girls. The first time a girl pays attention to them, they jump at them with both arms to lock them in. And that screams desperation. And no girl wants to be with a guy that's desperate for them. No, gentlemen, he married her at like 20 motherfucking years old. And she's older than him, I might add. And given how he's the nice guy and how this whole thing started and how he rushed into things, how do you think his marriage is going to go long term? Can you imagine what this guy's going to be like in a marriage? Do you think this guy's the leader? Do you think this guy takes charge? Do you think this guy checks her when she has a bad day and is being bitchy? No. And that will cause a wife to be turned off. And, well, you'll see. Says here, a year later, she came over, blah, blah, blah. We got married. I was 20 and she was 25. Now, the first 5 years were bliss. Well, maybe for you. She had to be on her best behavior because she wanted to stay in the United States. On the 6th year, she started to go out to girls' nights with her female coworkers. So, you married her when you were 20 and she was 25. 5 years, you said, were bliss. I think that might be an exaggeration. And on the 6th year, when she was 31, she started doing girls' nights. Now, she's from Peru, and Latina. I'm sure she's good looking. So I'm sure at 31 years old, out with the girls' nights, I'm sure, she got attention. She'd go on girls' nights with her female coworkers. At the time, I thought nothing of it. I noticed that our SCX life was getting less and less, but I was happy with the once-a-week amount that we had. Smack. You're 26 years old and you're only getting some once a week. You sound like a guy who's fucking desperate for anything. You're getting the breadcrumbs of SCX. Bro, if your needs aren't being met, you need to stand up for yourself. And I don't need to elaborate what that means. Lead things to the bedroom. Women like guys that do that. I mean, I don't know how any other way to explain that. That was the amount of SCX we had for years until the 8th year of marriage. In 2013, she got pregnant with my son, and I was ecstatic. Oh, congratulations on your son. However, after his birth, all SCX stopped. You know, talk about a stereotype. She said it was because she was still sore from the birth, but after 9 months of not getting any, I gave up. Did she give birth to a baby human being or a baby elephant? Come on here. And you gave up. Brother, your needs are being met. And pretty much it's like this. Wife, you're not taking care of yourself and you're not taking care of me, then I'm not going to take care of you, and I think it's time to talk about us parting ways. I guarantee you that she'll have an attitude adjustment real quick. But the reason, guys, at the end of the day, why she's not so enthusiastic to have relations with him is because she doesn't want the stereotype of marriage only because they stop dating with each other and having fun with each other, but also he's clearly not behaving in a way that turns her on. He's not, I guarantee, not being a leader, not taking charge, not saying, hey, no more of these girls' nights, not being, you get the point. You can imagine what this nice guy type was like in a marriage. And that's what it is like across the board. And I don't mean not being a good guy, but being the one who's led around instead of you doing the leading. And I can go on forever about that. So I started to focus on my work more. And I became depressed and gained about 100 pounds. Shit, dude. I was feeling like absolute shit. But in my head, because of the way I looked, that was the real reason my wife wasn't interested in me anymore. Yes, I'm sure she was turned off by you gaining 100 pounds. But she was turned off by you long before that. And now that you've been watching my channel for a while, now you get why. Over the years, my wife and I maybe had SCX once a year, if that. And me being so depressed, I honestly had thoughts of offing myself. But because of my son, I decided against it. Ending yourself, gentlemen, is never the answer. There's always a way to turn things around. But if you're ever getting to that point, guys, get help. There are people that care about you. Let's flash forward to 2020. My wife and I went to a neighbor's party all before COVID started. We were friends with them because our 7-year-old son was friends with their 7-year-old son. While I was there, I met a couple that would change my way of thinking forever. We will call them Joe and Hinata. Joe was a very funny 36-year-old gym bro. He was the same height as me, 5'10", but weighed 205 with a 32-inch waist. The only reason I know this is because I asked him, since most of the conversation we had was about diet and training. Hinata was a 41-year-old Japanese woman. I could tell that Hinata liked being around her husband, as he had her laughing just as much as I was laughing at and joking with him. Let me tell you, you have a married couple who's been together for a long time, and the wife is laughing at his jokes, like, instead of rolling her eyes at his jokes, like, because you've seen married couples and the guy makes dad jokes, and the wife rolls her eyes because she's heard this joke 700 times and knows he's a corny dude. She loves him, but he's corny. But actually laughing and having a good time with her husband, that says everything. And that is fucking rare. I was surprised when I learned that he and his wife have been married since 2005. Married in 2005. Okay, they've been married 15 years. She came over on a fiancé visa, and we had been married for the same amount of time as my wife and I. They even had a son as well, but he was 10 years old. I felt that he was just like me, and we talked the entire time about diet, training, fasting, weightlifting, etc. After 2 hours, we had a lot in common, like the types of anime we watched and video games we liked. I felt he was just like me, but I was dead wrong. You know, it's interesting in life, guys, and I've experienced this, where you meet somebody, at a party or a gathering or something like this, and it isn't just about like the opposite sex and attraction. I'm talking about just somebody you become friends with, and just like that. A dude that you have a lot in common with and all that, and they become like your brother overnight. And right here, just like this. This was proven about 3 hours into the party. There was over 20 people there with a mix of men and women couples. However, there were more single girls than couples. Out of nowhere, the host said that all the girls have to go bar hopping in the next few weeks, and my wife agreed. 11 other women agreed, and then the host told Hinata that she should come as well. So this alpha guy's wife, who he has a great relationship with, has been invited to go to girls' nights. And watch this. Before she could even say anything, a deadpan voice said, "No." Everyone looked over, and Joe was sitting down at the kitchen table with his arms crossed and a look on his face that must be out of their mind, mixed with sarcastic smile. All the women started freaking out, saying that Joe was controlling his wife and that he was, wait for it guys, misogynistic. The whole time Joe let them speak, but didn't say anything. One of the 40-year-old single women, gee, I wonder why she's single, started to confront Joe, and the exchange he had changed my perspective on everything. Now here's a breakdown of their conversation. The single girl says to him, "You are trying to control your wife. Hinata, do you like him acting this way?" And Joe said, "I'm not controlling my wife at all. She can do anything she wants. However, if she wants to do a girls' night out, then she can do it single, because I will divorce her." This is why, guys, if you are laying out terms, when you simply say, you can do that, or you can be with me, but you can't have both. I'm not controlling, I'm not telling you anything, I'm just telling you what I'm going to do. That's all you do. The single girl said, "So you are trying to control her? That isn't a real relationship." And Joe responded, "Really?" And the single girl said, "Yes." And Joe said, "Okay, so we have been married about 15 years. How long you been married?" That's a question always when these single gals start throwing a hissy fit. How long you been married? Silence. Because they haven't, and they're not. And there's a reason for that. And they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. But remember, these single gals that are of that age, there's a reason they're single. And a lot of times they want to sabotage good relationships, because that makes themselves feel less alone and like losers, because they're single, can't get a guy. At this point, the single girl lost her mind as Joe stood up, called upstairs to have his son come down because they were leaving, and he thanked the host. Of course she lost her mind because he made her look like a complete ass, even though her big mouth caused that. He asked me to come outside before he got in his car with his family and gave me his phone number to text him. His wife said it was nice to meet me while she did a little Japanese bow with her head while shaking my hand. I seemed to have a worried look on my face. Seeing it, Joe asked his wife if she was okay. She looked confused. He had to explain that she might be upset that he had spoken for her. She waved her hand and said no because she didn't want to go and doesn't like confrontation because she knew the women wouldn't have kept asking. He looked at me with a look and said, "See, all good." I shook Joe's hand and they drove off. See, the wife didn't want to do that. She didn't want to go on these girls' nights and hang out with a bunch of these single women because she is a committed wife and her husband and her son, her family is the number one thing in her life. She doesn't want to go out and girls' night with a bunch of single girls. That's not her cup of tea. But, and she didn't want to go through that bullshit, so he stepped in. And he's the villain. But notice our man Joe here doesn't give a flying fuck. The next couple months, I started hanging out and working out with Joe to get back in shape. Good for you, brother. You're going to see, guys, here, who you hang out with has effect on your life, for better or for worse, in this case, for better. He did not drink or party, but just hit the gym, spent time with his family, and worked. I specifically remember how he hit me up on Thanksgiving to do deadlifts because we needed to work out before we ate. Thanksgiving pie. That way we could spike our insulin and increase muscle growth, or whatever it is he told me. In about a year, because of the lockdowns, I had lost 50 pounds, and my wife started to notice as well. Awesome, brother. Good for you. That is not 50 fucking pounds. And he said over like a year in a healthy time from here. Good for you. And his wife noticed. Of course she did. Not just because you look better physically, but also you're taking action. And women like guys that take action, that better themselves. And I'm sure your confidence improved too. We actually started to have SCX once a month, and I was thinking everything was starting to get better. Well, okay, once a month from never doing it, that's progress, but you still have work to go. Joe and I didn't stop working out together during COVID and just worked out in his garage. I hung out a lot with Joe and saw how his relationship with his wife was like. Now listen to this, guys. This is very important. Pay attention to your relationship, guys. He says here he was very sweet to her, but he didn't fail to check her when she started having an attitude. I've been telling you guys all along, your relationship, guys. There's a balance. Remember, the two biggest things that separate bad boys from nice guys are, number one, bad boys put themselves first always. They don't put the girl on the pedestal. And number two, they always check the women. If the woman is being bitchy for whatever reason, whether she had a bad day or she broke her fingernail or some goddamn thing, he's going to check her and then she's giving him shit. Right here. He's very sweet to her and he's loving, but if she's being bitchy, he's going to call her on it. And believe me, women know when they're being bitchy, as us guys know when we're being assholes because we're in a bad mood and we take it out on our girlfriend and she doesn't deserve it. And we would respect her if she would check us. However, she barely had an attitude, which was so different from my wife. I learned that he never asked his wife for sex, but led her. See, you never ask for sex, but a lot of guys don't know this. You lead things on the way to the bedroom. He would tease her by telling her to lovingly sit on his face. Then he would just take her at night. I was always surprised she allowed it, and he always acted shocked that I thought she wouldn't. Well, remember, this guy spent his whole life as the nice guy, probably watched more romantic comedies than we could even count, and you know how the guys behave in those corny-ass shows. That's what guys are shown how to behave, and as they wonder that so many women are turned off by the way the guys act. But the guys that lead things in the direction, that's the key word, they take charge, and the woman feels safe and comfortable to let him lead. They love it. But most guys can't pull it off to save their own fucking life. Joe introduced me to your channel as well about a year ago, and I realized what I was doing wrong in my relationship. I continue to work out with Joe, and I'm now down to 190 pounds with a 34-inch waist. Dude, that is fantastic. I'm so proud of you. Now listen to this. I'm not as big as Joe, but way better than I used to be. Because of the confidence boost, I was able to get a promotion at work and start making about 120 grand a year. Bravo! Guys, see, he transformed his body and he's feeling great. And by seeing he did that, gave him the confidence to say, what else can I pull off? And he was able to do what he had to do to go for that promotion. He got it. So now he's now bringing home more money for his family that can provide a better life and lifestyle for his wife, his kid, him. And this is how success breeds success. Good for you, man. And guess what? The next thing you know, he'll figure out, what else do I want to accomplish? I also started implementing some of the ways Joe led his wife and the things you talk about here. I don't deal with girls' nights out anymore. Good for you. I make sure to take care of my wife's needs, but I don't put her on a pedestal, and I check her when she needs it. I'm betting you she's loving the new you. And I'm willing to bet you that when you started behaving different, like checking her and all that, I'm sure she didn't just automatically accept that. I'm sure she tested the fuck out of you thinking, is this guy for real here? But good for you. My wife respects me more now than ever and seems to be happier around me. See? They want a man, not a fucking boy. And you're acting like a man here. Because of this, my wife is also having sex with me much more as well, because I don't have to tell her. I read that wrong. Because of this, my wife is also having sex with me more as well, because I don't tell her. Right. You don't have to do anything. You're leading things to the bedroom. And I'm willing to bet you, if she hasn't already, she's going to start maybe exploring doing other activities, if you will, in the bedroom that she wasn't going to do beforehand, because she wants to turn you on, because she's turned on by you. She wants to please you. You earned this, bro. Good for you. He says, I just do it. It's crazy how society tells men that this is bad to do, but in actuality, women like it when you just take the lead and lead with confidence. Still blows my mind. As long as I don't go back to my beta ways, I believe your channel and Joe's helped save my marriage. Thank you. Well, bro, at the end of the day, you did the work. Yes, you watched my channel and learned where you were going wrong. And you worked out with your buddy and observed how his marriage is and how he acts with her and got yourself in a great shape. But you are the one that chose to change things. And so good for you, and I'm proud of you. And my only advice is just keep doing what you're doing. End of story. And see what new achievement you can make to make your life better, make your family's life better. But don't forget the fundamentals. And as long as you behave in this way, things will continue on that good path with your wife. But if things go back to the way they are, I guarantee you things will go down the gutter real quick. And I'm going to assume, hopefully, that on all those girls' nights your wife used to do back in the day, that even though obviously she wasn't so hot for you, and you weren't having any sex at all, that I hope like hell that she wasn't doing anything. But as I've said before, if they're not getting it at home, they're getting it someplace else. I hope that's the case, that I'm wrong, but I don't want to enter this stuff in your head, but I wouldn't be very fair to you if I didn't say it. So just pay attention to things, and but anyhow, I'm glad you're doing well. And by the way, by you now behaving in this way, you're setting a good example for your son. Because if you didn't make friends with that guy and start watching my channel, you'd still be overweight, unhappy, and you either could be divorced or your son would see you acting this way, and he would start thinking that's how relationships are, and one day he'd end up in a relationship just like that. Or your son would have found my channel when he got old enough and said, I'm not going to do marriage because look how miserable my dad is. But now you can show your son what it takes to work hard, transform your body, go for what you want, and he can see your wife happy and a happy family. And that's what I want. Believe it or not, guys, I love to see more marriages saved or better relationships out there, because there's just so many fucked up ones out there. And seeing young kids actually grow up in a household with two parents, there's a reason why there's so many problems with the kids these days, because there's usually they're in single parent households and they don't have somebody else there to be with them and spend time with them and help them out and guide them. Believe me, it's shown that definitely two-parent households are better for the kids. And so you guys stay together, you got a good thing going, that's better for your son. So I think that's great. Keep on trucking and write me down the road how things are going with you. All right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below and what you think about this. Give this guy a shout out for his improvement and his progress if you think he deserves it. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.